G'day Bomber fans, we have a great video today. We get to preview one of the biggest games on the home and away calendar, or rounds now in fact, but the Dreamtime game in particular is one that we are so privileged to be a part of. It's such a big and important occasion, but before I get into the preview, stick around to hear how you can save 20% at MANSCAPED, and we also have some vote results from our clash with Brisbane to get through. Here they are as always, yours and mine. There were two clear standouts from the game. Red Dog and McGrath gathered most of the love, while that third vote was up for grabs with about 5 different players in the mix. This is how it turned out though. And here is the leaderboard. Our injured clearance machine is still on top with 15 votes, but Redmond has joined the mix, so Das will probably be watching from the sidelines as one of the players in the top 5 or so overtake him in the coming rounds. So we have our annual Dreamtime clash, which is a fantastic occasion as I've said, but one that always comes with a grimace when we check the fixtures because we never win. In fact, the last time we beat Richmond was Dreamtime in 2014. We have lost our last 13 games, I believe, against the Tigers, so it's a one-sided matchup. The annoying thing is it's not even always dependent on form. We are just a bunny team for them. But I can't remember the last time we had a direction as strong as what we have under Scott against the Tigers, so if there was ever a time for us to dismantle them, it would probably be this year, especially because they haven't been all that hot. They still sit further below us on the ladder, despite the fact we have already played all the top teams in the league and lost 4 on the trot. Form-wise, they obviously look better. They beat the Cats, but take nothing away from that result. They are still a really poor side compared to what they once were, of course. This is a team on its knees trying to crawl into the top 8, and we have a great opportunity to shoot them down and give them a reality check. We have weirdly been pretty solid despite our 4 games lost in a row, but we should have beaten Collingwood. We were close to beating Port. We have shown we can hold our own against the very best, just not consistently throughout matches. Our big issue is our inability to match teams when they hit their stride mid-game. We had Brisbane on the ropes for a half. We were up against the Cats looking better in patches, but when teams get on top of us, they get on top well and truly, but the glimpses are there. If we put 4 quarters together, we can beat anyone, shown by our win over Melbourne. And the thing is, our shaky defense is not as much of an issue as we thought. We conceded more inside 50s than anyone against the Lions and only conceded 12 goals. We may even have Ridley and Kelly back from concussions, so we'll see how they are pulling up. And of course, Richmond do not have Tom Lynch. Our defense can hold up against that forward line. This is a team that all year has struggled to kick a winning score against a pretty decent defense that we have. The issue against Brisbane was our inability to hold them around the ground, in between the arcs. They had 69 inside 50s, we had 38. Clearances were a big reason for this. They killed us in that second half. Luckily, Richmond are the worst centre clearance team in the league, something we've been scoring from recently. And we both have clearance-based players missing. We have no Parish, who averages the most in the comp. They have no Jacob Hopper, who averages half the amount Parish does. It's big losses on both teams, but you'd be silly to compare the two realistically. Speaking of clearances though, the Tigers lost clearances and had less of the ball in their 50 as Geelong and still won the game. And from what I saw, it was based off of pressure. They had more meaningful tackles, more pressure acts, forced Geelong to produce more turnovers than they usually do. Richmond finally put their game together for once, and it looked dangerous. They looked really hard to deal with, so expect them on a big occasion to bring the same heat. And it was the veteran stars that found form to spark this win against the Cats. Dustin Martin was scary good, Jack Riewoldt stood up, and underperforming Cochin was put up forward to good effect. It was the Richmond of old, which is not who you want to play. I think this will determine who wins the match, which Richmond shows up to play. Will it be the Richmond of old, the dynasty pressure-based team, or will it be the team that lost to Gold Coast at home? And the thing is, depending on what Richmond shows up, we will get a very different scoreline. Typically this season, at their worst, Richmond have been strangled, which bodes well for us because we have shown we have the ability to reduce teams to low scores in patches, but also we have lapses when we are easy to score against. That's summed up by the Lions game. At our best, we were impossible to play against, really. At our worst, we were traffic cones, but I think Richmond will be the deciding factor. Their form, how well they are playing in the match, I think it's on them to get a result because I still think at their best they can be really dangerous, shown by their last win. Based off our last performance, we need better ball movement going up the ground, which I expect against a team less systemized than Brisbane. I expect us to find more space on the G, even with Richmond's pressure. I can see us finding space inside 50, something we never really had against the Lions. There aren't really many excuses for us to kick another low score. It would be a worry if we did. And speaking of pressure, we need to supply some ourselves. It's been one area I've been really disappointed with this year. We have Menzie, Davey, Tip and Woody, but we average the 4th least tackles inside 50 for the year. When it's good, but it's been frustrating to see the difference in pressure at its worst and its best. I hope our Mosquito fleet really do provide the heat because this is a game we should be winning. So how do we win the thing? Well, we need to get on top with the contested ball and clearances consistently, not just for a half of footy, because when we lose out of the guts, it gets ugly. We conceded 20 odd inside 50s to just 5 in that third quarter against the Lions, and it was because they brought the heat in centre bounces. They had too much territory for us to deal with. It wasn't pretty. We need to fix that. And a big factor there is going to be our ruck duo against whoever they have in ruck. ruck, Nankervis is either going to not play or be a tad underdone. Draper and Phillips or Bryan can exploit that and give us options that we haven't had in the last few weeks. We need to be right on top to bring our contested marking up because it's been poor lately. It's been hard without an outlet marking target. We need to be able to match their pressure or deal with it at least, because it's going to be hot. They will be hungry and ready for the occasion. They're old and young players. They did it against the Cats on a big night. They will do the same against us. It's going to be hot in the kitchen. We got to deal with the heat. And we need to be clean with the ball. I think this is going to be really important because you have a team like Richmond, a team that have more turnovers than anyone in the comp who won't be. And the only way we punish their lack of class is by keeping the ball with us as much as possible. We can have more of the ball if we are clean because we know they will give us chances to score from turnovers. On to team news, we will gladly welcome back Jordan Ridley and Jake Kelly if they are both fit after their concussions. I'm not sure when Kelly was announced as concussed. You usually have to wait a minimum amount of time, and he was a delayed concussion, so we see what happens there, I guess. There could be one or two unforced changes. Massimo and Menzie could come under some heat, as to Phillips. I reckon he might be due a rest with Bryan playing well in the VFL. Snelling and Montgomery were also pretty big, but I doubt Scott will make too many unforced changes. For the Tigers, Jacob Hopper is out, as I mentioned earlier. That's big around stoppages. Daniel Rioli did pull up sore, but he is a tough cookie. I expect him to stay right. There are also players like Gibkiss, Nankervis and Morris Rioli who are close to a return, but for our sake, let's hope Dimmer plays them through the resis a bit first. So will we win this game? I think we will. I think we are a better side than Richmond. We have had 4 losses. I think we bounce back. We have shown more than the Tigers this year. This is a must-win if we want to play finals. This is a game that decides where we finish, I reckon. We either finish the round 4-6 or 5-5. I think we get the job done by 12 points. So that is that. Let me know what you think down below. And a quick word from MANSCAPED, who you should check out. With MANSCAPED, you can smoothen up your downstairs area, clean up your body a bit, help make us the best looking fan base in the comp. And with me, you can save 20% off plus free shipping. Just go to manscaped.com, buy whatever you want, and enter the discount code EVERYTHING Essendon20 for 20% off plus free shipping. Cheers, Dons fans.